Hello, Namaskar. I'm making a part 2 of my leadership videos because the previous one just took up all my storage space, so I had to empty some space to get more time. So again, we're talking about the leadership, right? A leader might be hiding right among us. It's just time when the proper climate, the atmosphere, the calling, the necessities there, he can rise up. If there's a need for a spiritual leader, he will be elected. If there's a need for an intellectual leader, he will be elected. There's a need for a revolutionary leader, one who will tear down, immobilize old fashions, dogmas, superstitions, and norms and beliefs so as to establish new ones. They will want a more radical, evolutionary, outspoken, dashing, charismatic leaders and so on. So we have various type of leaders, the authoritarian leaders. There's the different kind of leaders. We know what they are, these all play a part when the necessity and the various society moves through various stages and points in time they emerge, So when the leadership is out of the hands of intellectuals, it might be in the hands of physical men. People are more tossed about in the physical level. There's not much intellectual progress in the society, not much technology and so on. Spiritually, the people might find some kind of peace, but they will be suffering from backwardness, from in the technological era. So there should be a proper balance between the intellectual, the physical, and the spiritual needs of people. In some cases, due to a great powerful leader in the spiritual field, the country's history might just take a different turn, a different detour, and it leaves a mark on humanity which forever seals them in the spiritual dimension. Like for the great of a great personality in Europe and Middle East, like Jesus, how he's influenced and caused a lot of changes there. So the entire society feels that their life depends upon spiritual nourishment, religious nourishment, unfoldment, exploration of the mind, soul, spirit. So this is what spirituality mostly is about, how they can understand, interpret nature and live with nature in such a way that their progress is enhanced and so on. So when there's an intellectual revolution, we have mostly the intellectual class are dominating, they're propagating universities, studies, sciences, writing and computations and calligraphy and books and libraries they speak about and so on, So various state of mind bring forth different sorts of physiognomy, different bodily modifications and body languages. So these all emerge from time to time as society passes through various cycles, from the laborer class to the intellectual to the warrior to the Sadvipra, the spiritual, the neo-humanist. When we are Jew sentimental, we are concerned mostly with a particular race or a particular type of country, nationality, and so on. Social sentiment is a little more broader, it encompasses race and colors and ethnicity and religion and culture. When we are neo-humanistic, right, you transcend both the geo-sentimental and the social-sentimental plagues and norms and habits of society, and you become more liberated. The mind kind of become more free or unlocked It's unlocking of the mind so that it can appreciate creation in a better way, Sympathy for everything, compassionate heart like Buddha speaks of on fools, kindness, love, deep thinking, thought, and good virtuous qualities emerge. So people should try and endeavor to invite what is good for their country, their homes, their family, themselves. Invite it into their lives, invite it into their homes, their societies, and so on. And this endeavor of giving reach to better cultures, better nations, better people, and there's less reduction in crime. For example, in Bhutan, they say there's no GDP, gross domestic product, or the value. They don't pay so much influence on natural resources, but on gross happiness, GDH, gross domestic happiness, on the happiness of the people, the nation, how much they're concerned whether the people are happy, whether they are contented. Now the big thing is that there's a lot of glandular defect going on in people, our so-called criminals, our so-called mental catastrophes are because of certain glandular defect in the endocrine system. So yoga exercise, for example, correct the glands through long-term practice, regular long-term practice, which they are now using in prisons and psychiatric hospital and so on. So that proper correction of the glandular secretion, the individual attains a measure of balance and stability in his social settings, in his life, in his personal relation to himself and society and so on. So it's good that if the humanity, if they can pass through the lower stages of existence where we have the pulls and the command centers from the lower psychic centers governing section of people to such an extent that it has them entrapped, or we should say they're kind of stagnated or in limbo. They're in limbo. Certain psychological demeanor, certain hallucinatory predicaments that they see and do things in mental fixative, in their mental fixations. They see the world in a narrower and an unfamiliar way. In this case, the peoples and the nation, the leaders will need help, a lot of help from outside, from other more liberated nations and bodies, from other civilization where the ancient procedure method have already dissected and removed the gangrenous predicaments of the human expressivity. So all these summits and all these talks and goals and for about the wars and the strategies and so is to make the world a better place for citizens, for the leaders to be inspired and motivated to bring what is best to humanity. So all in all, we do hope that in all points of time we have the best leaders. We do choose what is right for us and choose who will make those dreams come true. Like Reverend Jesse Jackson was saying, or I think it was Martin Luther King was saying, I have a dream. So let's have good dreams and make positive things for our generation, our children, our society, our people. Let our region become a place of warmth and beauty for our neighbors, for enemies, for our well-wishers, and so on, so we'll have a better place to live and exist. Thanking you. Namaskar.